Here we go. Oh, no problem. Oh, perfect. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning into a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a magnificent guest with us today, one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the legendary activist Imam Edward. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam, sir.
And so much more. So we're going to go over all the languages and so much that he does for the community, for his family, for Islam, for the believers, for the nation, and for the Ummah as a whole. So thank you very much for all that you do. First of all, how was your Ramadan?
This was probably the best Ramadan that I've had since I've been home from prison.
Yes, sir. And what made it the best?
As a student of Quran, I am on 90% of Quran. And so I have 10% more to learn, and I will have the entire vocabulary of the Quran, 78,000 words. And so, alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir. Okay, go ahead, hold it there. Now, how long does it take one to learn the Holy Quran?
Honestly, because I'm not at 100%, I can't say that because I'm not at 100%. But as a person that is at 90%, I can say that if you study for 1 hour every day, within 90 days, you will know 50% of the Quran. Inshallah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, surely we have made the Quran easy to remember. And so the most honorable Elijah Muhammad started us on a course with who is the original man, or the actual facts, or why did we take Jerusalem from the devil? How long? Stuff like so you already in that state where you can get into that space to master Quran.
Beautiful, yes, sir. And people are showing you love all around the world already. Sister Miriam and Sister Naima says, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, family. Thank you all. And thank you to our YouTube family starting out the gate, Brother Musa, Brother Kente, Sister Auntie, and Sister Hope as well. Thank you very much. And shout out to Brother Daniel E. as well, all the YouTube family. I wanted to ask you, sir, what is the importance of Ramadan?
Ramadan is, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says that self-improvement is the basis for community development. So Ramadan, in that wise, is something personal that you can use or utilize to get rid of your own faults and shortcomings and flaws. No one knows your shortcomings better than you. So you know what needs the most improvement. No one can tell you that. That's an internal thing. So Ramadan been a 30-day process, giving you the opportunity to fast and pray to Allah and get rid of some of your vices. I mean, to me, it's the mercy of Allah. Just think of the mercy. Ramadan is for you, the individual. And each of us get out of it where we are in life. Some people might want to stop smoking cigarettes. Ramadan is perfect for that person. Some people might want to stop drinking or gambling or whatever they're doing. Some people might want to be a better husband. Some sisters might desire to be a better wife. So Ramadan gives us a chance to look at self and work on self and fast and get rid of the impediments of self.
Beautiful. All praise to Allah. Yes, sir. Okay, I wanted to ask you, speaking of relationships and just on the basis of arguing the gender wars between the men and the women, men and women, how can the Holy Quran help in bringing ease to the sexes and, you know, with the man and the woman and showing the importance that we need each other and we need to love each other?
And you done put me on the spot. I forgot what surah it is. Let me go look find what surah it is. Mujadullah.
Yes, sir.
Surah Mujadullah. Mujadullah in Mulana Muhammad Ali translation says the pleading woman. But the triliteral root of Mujadullah is Jim Dal Lam. Jadu. Jadu means to debate. So Mujadullah, Mujadu is the debating man. Mujadullah is the debating woman. But Maulana Muhammad Ali translates it as the pleading woman. And this surah actually came down because a woman, she had an issue with her husband. And she went to the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and said something to the Prophet about her husband. She was complaining about her husband. And the Rasulullah said he'd get back with her. But he never got back with her. And then the surah came down and was saying that the women have the same rights as men. I'm trying to find what surah it is. Say it again.
I say you teaching just what you just gave. My goodness, yes, sir.
But you guys go ahead.
No, I'm saying, so you're saying that if women have the same rights as men, then you're saying that Islam isn't sexist.
Not at all. Mujadillah, the pleading woman, surah 58.
Okay.
That's the surah I'm looking for, surah 58. Absolutely not. Allah talks about the believing man and the believing woman, the charitable man and the charitable woman, the God-fearing man and the God-fearing woman, and the one who helped the orphan, the man that helped the orphans, and the woman that helped the orphans. They go down the list or the line or whatever he attributes to men, he also attributes to women. In fact, the entire universe is, the very universe is constructed masculine and feminine.
Beautiful. Go ahead, man. Yes, sir. All right. So you're saying there's medicine in the Holy Quran for men and women when dealing with those type of issues?
Absolutely. Whatever matter we differ on as Muslims, we should refer to Allah and His Messenger. So the Quran is the criterion, our guide from which we judge. Yes,
sir. What about as far as dealing with parenting? You know, people, you know, children, and they, you know, what advice would you give to people who just about fatherhood?
In terms of the Quran?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I go to Surah 4, Ayah 1. Men are the maintainers of women.
Yes, sir.
And we know the divine order: God, man, woman, child. So if men are the maintainers of women and women are the maintainers of children, then the responsibility is right there.
Beautiful, yes, sir. Now, I wanted to ask you about the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace and the blessings of Allah be upon him. Why is he such an important figure for people to know in 2024?
I have a deep appreciation for Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it's a newfound appreciation. And I've been a Muslim since 1993. It's a newfound appreciation as a student of Arabic and as a student of Quran. Me studying the mathematical and linguistic miracle of the Quran, it fascinates me in a way that just looking at the mathematical nature automatically catapults him into divinity in my mind.
Very good. Yes, sir. Now I wanted to ask you, can you help explain it to those who don't read the Quran about who this man is? Like who's like life of Muhammad? Like who is he? Like why are we reading about him? Like who is he?
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was an Arab who couldn't read and write. He was born in the Arabian Peninsula in 570 AD, what they call the year of the elephant. He was a pious man, a trustworthy man that earned him the moniker Al-Amin, the trustworthy or the faithful. When he was 40 years old, he received a revelation. He was in a cave. He used to retire to the cave of Hira and meditate. And one day he was in the cave and he heard the words Iqra, which means read or recite. And he heard it 3 times, and someone grabbed him and squeezed him 3 times. And he was sweating and shaking. He ran home to his wife, Khadija, and told her of the ordeal. And she had a cousin who was a Christian, Waraka ibn Nafil. May Allah be pleased with him. And when she told him what had happened, he said, oh, that's the angel Jibril. That's the same one who came to all of the prophets. And 30 months later, he received the second revelation of Surah 74, the one who wrapped himself up. Al-Mudathir, he used to wrap himself up. And he received the second revelation, arise and warn, O prophet. And for 23 years, he received the revelation of the Quran, which is 114 surahs, 6,236 ayats or verses. And he was a person that couldn't read and write. And there are certain linguistic miracles in the Quran that you would have to attribute to Allah because he couldn't read and write. There are scientific miracles that are in the Quran that he was an unlearned man, and these things have proven, some of the things have proven to be scientific. You would have to attribute it to Allah. We can't attribute it to the prophet because the prophet didn't have any education. He was called Ummi or illiterate. So we would have to attribute it to Allah. So the mathematical miracle and the linguistic miracle of the Quran, it is something that fascinates me. And I'm not even saying this as a Muslim. I'm saying this as an intellectual. You can put the Islam to the side. Like, I'm just a person that like to read. Just as an intellectual, the Quran is the best book I have ever read in my life. It's the most fascinating book I've ever read in my life. And when I was a young brother that accepted Islam, accepted the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I was always taught that he said that Master Farad Muhammad gave him 104 books to study. And he said out of all of the books that he gave me to study, the best book was the Quran. So as a member of the Nation of Islam and a believer in the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I accepted that, but I didn't necessarily believe that. You with me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I accepted that out of 104 books, the best book was the Quran. I accepted Islam in 1993. Consciously, I was in prison. And I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I heard Dr. Khaled, and I was locked in. You got where you signed up at. You got me. I'm with that. And so I went along with all of the things that you had to go along with to be Muslim. Right? So all Muslims will say, the Quran is the best book that I've ever read. Even if you don't believe that, you're going to say it. You're going to put it on the top shelf, or you're going to do all of that, right? As a person who lived that life and believed it and accepted it, when I started studying Arabic, probably about 10 years ago, and saw the mathematical nature. Now, you already, before you study Arabic, you already know, because you in Nation Islam, they teach you that, you know, science is all wide and does everything right and exact. So you already know the mathematical nature.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You
Yes, sir.
believe
Yes, sir.
that, right? But when you actually see it, I think it puts you in a whole different space.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So now my next question for you is, how important is, you mentioned Khadijah, how important was she to Prophet Muhammad, but also to Islam as a whole?
Well, of course, you know, as Mother Khadija Farrakhan is today, Khadija 1400 years ago was the mother of the faith. The Mu'minun, the mother of the faithful. So she was very important. And, you know, she had money, so that kind of eased the burden of Prophet Muhammad, where he can kind of do what he had to do, because she can hold it down. And she was one of his first converts. She believed in him as soon as he came home from the cave and
Yes,
told
sir.
him
Yes, sir.
what he experienced. She believed him. She ain't give him no lips. She ain't say, I don't believe that. You down there hanging with them. She ain't say none of that.
Yes, sir. Great. Now, a lot of what I like to study on YouTube, and of course from scholars, but people who just do lectures as well, is what happened after Prophet Muhammad, dealing with the caliphs or caliphs. What can you let us know about that?
Yes, sir. When the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed in 632, there was a division. And some of the believers, some of the Mu'minun said that Ali, the Prophet nephew, was supposed to be the first caliph. And then others said, no, we're going to vote. And they voted for Abu Bakr. And so, you know, with Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and then Ali. But after Ali, there was those who followed Ali that said Ali was the rightful caliph and should have been the first one. And those who believed that became known as Shia or Shiite.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
those who believed in the voting process became known as Sunnis. And so for 1400 years after the Prophet, they have been at odds with one another and have been shedding blood of one another. But it comes from theological differences over who was supposed to be the successor, because the Shiites' claim is that the Prophet Muhammad said that Ali is to him what Harun was to Musa, or Aaron was to Moses. So they say that's a natural successor. And so it's a theological difference, matter of perspective. I never heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan weigh in on that theological difference and kind of lean the nation to either side. So it is what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, I have a question on that though. But so the other caliphs, do they have any followers all these years later now? Besides Shia Sunni, like, so there's no. It's just okay. Yes, sir. That makes perfect sense. All right, we have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of People's Podcast, and we're coming right back to our brother Imam Edward. We're grateful for every like, share, and subscription, as well as every anonymous Cash App. We truly appreciate the love and support that we have been receiving for all of our seasons. Thank you very much. 1 second. And we podcast Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Excellent. We are right back with our brother. Okay, now speaking of activism, it's something that I take, I respect. Of course, I take it serious, but I really respect the work that I always see you do on social media, being in the community, but especially someone who was institutional, like in the institution, goes back inside prisons and jails, and you're always teaching. What makes you still want to go back? That's not a trigger to you? Like, what makes you still want to go back in once you made it out?
I believe in mathematics, brother Joshua. And so having been part of the problem, it's just good mathematics to be part of the solution. Like I was a part of the reason that DC was torn down, run down, messed up. So it is my responsibility, my social responsibility, my moral responsibility. I'm a Muslim, you know, when you see something that needs to be done, just do it. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that if you see a piece of paper on the floor, the lieutenant don't gotta give you no instruction to pick the piece of paper up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it just needs to be done.
Wonderful. Yes, sir. Now I wanted to ask you about what do you tell someone who is facing a certain amount of time? They done gave up on life, no money on the commissary, girlfriend might leave, parents turn their back on them, and they in a cage. And you come in and they like, all right, Ma'am Edwards coming right in. What do you tell them?
You know, it's funny that you would ask me that because I experienced that. I go to DC jail every Friday, and we go to the max units, and so I experienced that frequently. And because I did 18 years in the federal penitentiary, so people ask me like, how did you get through that? And one thing I was taught as a young Muslim brother, that there was nobody there in the beginning when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created himself out of triple darkness. No one was there. So no one knows how long it took. And so each one of us have that spark within self. So each of us grow or develop at our own level. So some people reading books might get them through a bid in prison. Some people working out get them through. Some people learn how to rap. So each of us got that spark. So you get what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand. Okay, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to those who want to give back in an activist type of way, who just don't know the first step?
I think that I hope nobody get mad at me for this, but I think that it's hypocritical on us as human beings to want to reach out and help people. And that's good. Altruism is good. Being your brother's keeper is good. Helping folk, that's good. But it's people in your family you don't even speak to. How about before you try to feed Mook Ray Ray and Lil Man, holler at your aunt that you don't talk to. Call her. See if your saving power what you want to give to the community, give that to your cousin who owe you $20 and you stop talking to her. And she didn't give you that $20 back. Does that make sense?
Powerful. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And
Great.
you know, we stop right there, it's gonna spread.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I have a question. DC is one of the cities like Baltimore, Chicago, Atlanta, LA, Memphis, inner cities, Detroit, Compton, where I always ask the guests, what makes you, once you see the condition, I know you want to rebuild, give activism back in that, but you see the circumstance, what makes you not just want to go away to a farm or something and then just come back on, casual? What makes you stay in it?
Erykah Badu said, peace out the revolution. We got to do work. We got work to do. We got work to do. Peace out the revolution.
Yes, sir. I understand. Okay. On a lighter note, when you're not being an activist and studying and learning 90% of the Holy Quran, what do you do for fun, sir?
Watch movies.
Okay. What are some of your favorite movies?
Listen, I'm a comic book movie, what's the word? Buff.
Okay.
That, like DC and Marvel, I probably watch every movie that they've ever made.
Talking my language. Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, great. I know that. Okay.
I like action movies. I was in prison for 18 years. So in the federal penitentiary, you can't watch rated R movies. They came out with a bill. You got to watch like PG-13, like you a child, because they said movies make us more violent, prone, and something. So you can't watch rated R movies. So because I was deprived of that so long, I was like, I can't wait. I want to see that unedited. I want to see the real version of that. So I love movies.
Yes. Perfect. Great. All right. My next question I wanted to ask you is, with being I see you post your children a lot. How has being a father impacted you?
It's one of the best feelings in my life. My children were the first two human beings that you just like, I'd die for them. If they were guilty of something, I'd say I did it. Like, I love them, like my children. And having a son and a daughter is just so different. It's different. Because you want to lean to your daughter. You know your son, you got him. You my mini me. I got you. But yes, you got to lean more toward the daughter because she's a female, a sister, a girl. And they believe in you. Nobody believes in you like your children. I went to my daughter's school like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Man, she made me feel like this is my dad. Yeah, like, all right, we here.
Beautiful. All praises to Allah. Yes, sir. Okay, I wanted to ask you, you speak multiple languages. How can the people who watch, who want to learn, how can they reach out to you?
I don't speak multiple languages. That's the first thing. I can read and write multiple languages.
You read and write multiple languages. Okay.
And the languages that I can read and write are dead languages. No one speaks them. Like no one speaks Quranic Arabic. No one speaks biblical Hebrew or biblical Greek. No one speaks that unless you're in liturgical settings, like you're in a religious service or studying a doctrine in a religious setting. No one speaks that. But so what was your question?
If people want to read and write, learn to read and write, not speak it, but they want to learn to read and write languages, how can they reach out to you?
Man, they can reach out to me through you. I'm Brother Edward James Ford on Facebook. Rock Me Amadeus DC on Instagram. You can reach out to me. Yeah, we can make it happen. I think that to the followers of Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I am so pressed. I say duas trying to get Allah to make the believers want to learn Arabic. I get the fear. I get the fear. I'm just like you. You ain't got to explain it to me. I look at myself. You ain't got to tell me what you're going through. I can just look at in the mirror itself. So I get the fear and the apprehension. But what I don't get is the double talk. We're about to build a new world. There is no mystery God. How you gonna build a new world? If we're gonna build a new world, we gotta do it. No one's gonna save us but us. So I mean, if we want, you think Mecca would just say, all right, y'all was right, y'all theology is the truth. Master Father Muhammad is al-Mahdi here. You believe that? If it's a transition of power, how? We got the Bible, some Bible numbers. The Bible says, I present myself as a living sacrifice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Present yourself. What skill set are you bringing to the nation? Everybody can't be no minister. Everybody can't be no captain. What skill set? We need people to study agriculture. I'm not talking about just go to school and get a degree. I'm talking about master it. Where you can raise up some youngins, some young people to teach them that. We need some people to learn mathematics. We need some people to learn science. I'm talking about dedicate yourself, your whole person to that skill set. We need some people to study biblical Hebrew and devote yourself to that skill set and teach it. That's how you move forward and write your name in history. They said, I remember in 2024, we started studying this. And we prior to that, from 1930, we wasn't never studying biblical Hebrew. We started that in 2025.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But that's how you make progress, and you can see your progress. Or you just need some instruction. Edwin ain't got. Edwin, who are you to tell me to do? Are we in that space? You need some instruction.
Most of people are. Most of people are.
You need a foot in your, Al-Mahdi is the self-guided one.
That's right. That's right.
So we got to get in a space where we self-motivated. We self-motivated because that's patriotism.
Facts.
That's making yourself a sacrifice. My life, my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, my death, all for Allah. Some people, we done got like the mafia. You want to pay our way to heaven. People got got some money. I ain't got to do nothing else. No, we try and build a nation. So does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Yes, sir. Okay, but you brought up the Mahdi. Let's deal with that because Ramadan is over.
Let me say this before we go to the Mahdi. Because I was talking about everybody else. So I can talk about myself. So I devoted myself to Arabic. There was a brother named Akbar Sharif Muhammad, brother out of St. Louis. Good brother. Met him on social media. Every Day of Atonement and Savior's Day, I would see him and embrace him like I knew him 100 years. And he would always encourage me. And I don't know how many languages that brother knew. May Allah be pleased with me because he passed. But he inspired me. Like, his swag was up here. Mine was like right here. His was over up here. And I was like, man, he made me want to just master Arabic. And he had this humility with himself. Like, every time you give him some props, he would always tell him, I'm just your brother. I'm just your brother. And we used to DM each other. Somebody put a post up on social media and he'd DM me and say, that was deep. Him saying that was deep to me That was like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan saying that was deep to me. Like I looked at him like a scientist, like
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
a wise man. And I knew that he had knowledge, and he inspired me in such a way that you know, as Muslims, we taught that we master the information. Like we don't just study. When we study something, we study like we're taught I am mathematics. We don't just study math. I am math. I am science. I am chemistry. So I always say I am Arabic.
Beautiful, praise be to Allah. And that's something that my mother, Sister Sharif Muhammad, taught all four of her children, taught many, but her four children, she definitely put that in it. Josh, you know, you are mathematics. You like literally make me like, oh God, mama. But yeah, hey, she gonna teach that for sure. Okay, but yes, sir. But you brought up the Mahdi. How important is us understanding the title, the man? How important is that for humanity, but primarily believers?
I think it's very important for believers. Because we talk, I don't want to say talk a good game. I don't want to say that because it kind of put me on the other side. But the Nation of Islam is all wise and does everything right and exact.
That's right.
And what's wrong with devoting yourself to a field of study to where you master the field of study? What's wrong with that? Why don't we think like that? When you get into martial arts and study martial arts, what's your goal? What's your objective? You want to what you trying to look? Or you really want to what? What's your goal? So my goal is to master the Quran. When I say master, I'm talking about master as a skill set. Where I know all of its nuances, because I say that's the book that guides my life. But in studying it, in studying the life of Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it make me see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan crystal clear. Crystal clear. Let me tell you this. Watch this. If the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad did an interview with Buzz Anderson, and in that interview, he said that his teacher, Master Fard Muhammad, told him, gave him 2/3 of the Quran to study. He said, don't worry about the other 1/3, because that's for another man. That's for the man coming in the future. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, all his books, when he talk about Jesus is not God, he said Allah don't deal in fractions. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You remember that? He said Allah don't deal in fractions. He can't make 3 out of 1.
That's right.
When he talk about the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So if that is true, and 2/3 was for him to study, and another 1/3 was for a future man. Then in 1972, in the Theology of Time lectures, he said, I'm the Jesus of the Bible and the Muhammad of the Quran. So if he the Muhammad of the Quran, and he only got 2/3 of the Quran to study, then that means that the other 1/3, that person is the Muhammad of the Quran too. Just think about that. Just think about that though. And so in reading that and studying that, it just showed me that. Have you ever studied the ring composition of the Quran?
No, sir.
Okay. Can I take 1 minute to kind of explain it?
Please, please, put this on.
Okay, I'm gonna read something to you. Al-Baqarah is the longest surah of the Quran. Surah 2, the cow. That's the longest surah. Got 286 ayats. But it has 9 themes And these 9 themes are so symmetrical that it's amazing. Let me explain what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In Surah 2, ayat 1 to 20, it's talking about faith and unbelief. The believer, the disbeliever, and the hypocrites. That's ayat 1 to 20. Then you go to ayat 21 to 39, it's talking about Allah's creation and knowledge. Then you go from ayat 40 to 103, they talk about the deliverance of law to the children of Israel. Then you go from ayat 104 to 141, it's talking about Ibrahim was tested. Then from 142 to 152, it's talking about Al-Kaaba is the new Qibla. 153 to 177 talks about the Muslims will be tested. 178 to 253 talk about the deliverance of the law to the Muslims. 254 to 284 talk about Allah's creation and knowledge. And 285 to 286 talk about faith and unbelief. So if you look at the first thing, faith and unbelief, and the last thing is faith and unbelief. If you look at the second thing, it's Allah's creation and knowledge. If you look at the second last thing, it's Allah's creation and knowledge. And we look at the third thing, it's deliverance of law to the children of Israel. If you look at the last third thing, it's deliverance of law to the Muslims. If you look at the fourth thing, it's Ibrahim is tested. If you look at the last fourth thing, is the Muslims are tested.
Yes, sir.
If you look at 286, the middle ayat of 286 is 143. So in 143rd ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and thus we have created you a middle nation. And it uses the word wasatan, which means middle, in the middle of the longest surah in the Quran. I just wanted to, because that, to me, that's fascinating, because if you look at the Prophet didn't read and write, there was no word count, there was no engine search, there was none of that. And the surah came down over a period of 10 years. And the mathematical precision of the language. That's remarkable and fascinating to me.
That's beautiful. Yes, sir. That's deep. Okay, great. Well, on that positive note, I want to thank you again, Brad, just for always showing love. And I encourage everybody who watches the People's Podcast to please reach out to our brother to study and just to begin. He breaks it down, does a great job. And also follow him on social media, because I'm inspired by your page, on a daily basis. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I did a lot of interviews, sit down with a lot of people. This is the first time that I've ever had to get my notes, study, get my stuff together. I said, man, I'm on the People's Podcast. Yeah. No, I love the People's Podcast. Oh, keep doing what you're doing, brother. Inspirational. I got love for you. Love you, brother. Love you and your family. Continue to do what you do. You inspire folk, even if you don't get your flowers, they can't come tell you. I hear it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hear it for you and brother Ben X. People, somebody might say, man, I want you to watch the People's Podcast. Man, I know brother Joshua. Get out of here. So yes, sir.
It means a lot to me, and all praises to Allah. And on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, thank you again. This
Yes,
is
sir.
Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off. This is an ongoing series. Inshallah, if our brother would come back so we can always do breakdowns over periods of time. Thank you very much for explaining to us and giving us information and inspiration. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you all for watching.